So, okay. This is. I don't know why I'm shocked it's our fault. The question is, did Eureka actually forget as a side effect of all those drugs, or is she just continuing her annoying tendency of being an unreliable narrator? Because, gosh dang it, Eureka. Oh boy. Okay, so we've got like the typical Yandere motivation of being a broken person, trying to put on this perfect facade to match up to the purity of their obsessive person of interest. Um, and I had assumed he took us to his isolation cell to kind of bring us down to his level since he failed at getting to our level. But now I'm not sure if that's true anymore. Well, let's find out. This is like the Hans and Gretel twist now, it sounds like. The two siblings, Hansel and Gretel, I should say. The two siblings were lost in the woods with only moonlight illuminating their path. With no trail of breadcrumbs, they would never find their way home again.
So, where do we go from here?
I don't know. But it'll work out. I'm going to keep you safe.
Sister.
Just then, a black cat appeared out of nowhere, swishing her tail as she trotted deeper into the forest. Is she trying to guide us?
No clue.
Every time we approached her, she ran off deeper into the woods. Maybe I made the deal with the wizard. Ultimately, she led us to a small cottage. There, she paused to lounge on the roof for a moment, but when we walked up, she ran off again. What is this place? Whoa. That was a lot of colors. And the intro music is playing from the first game? And so they arrived at the candy house. Gosh, that was a lot, that was a lot of colors. Oh yeah, I forgot this is where we were before everything went down. Okay, well. Gretel. One look at his tears and the fog cleared from my memories. Okay, so it was a fog in the memories. It wasn't you being an unreliable narrator for once. His actions. My actions. He had thrown himself into the fires of hell just for me.
You're the one person I can't afford to lose, sister. Your family was very kind for letting me stay with them, but I don't care if they hate me. I don't care if they reject me. But you... I don't want you to throw me away. And yet, every time I look at you, I think to myself, what a delicious morsel. How I wish I could devour her.
If he devoured me, it would mean the end of our relationship as siblings. Okay, yeah. So the motivation, yeah, okay. I got it. So he didn't want to risk the biscuit, basically. Of like, if I pursue her romantically, we can never go back to being siblings. And if things don't work out, then I've ruined everything. Okay. That's almost like, you know, childhood friends to lovers thing, except weirder in this case, and much more wrong in this case. But okay, I got your motivation out of the way. Good to know.
I felt this way for a long, long time. But I bet you never knew, did you? Or is that why you did all those things? To provoke me? You're such a tease, sister. You're not safe for consumption, and yet you lure me in with your sweet scent. How cruel can you possibly be? I want to feast on you so badly, it's killing me inside. I'm starving, sister. But you have to reject me, sister. Tell me we can't be together because we're family. Talk me out of it, sister. Persuade me not to. Sister, 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 help me!
Gretel. I was the one making him suffer. No! I mean, yes, but no! I think, did we ever get that psych evaluation back for this guy, out of curiosity? This was my punishment for falling in love with the man who was supposed to be my brother. In light of Gretel's suffering, what will you do? Tell him to eat me? Tell him not to eat me. Oh my god. Why? What? Ugh. Okay, so they're doing... The forbidden fruit, the candy of the fairy tale is... that. Eh? Mm-hmm. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. That's a spicy meatball right there is what that is. Okay. You never give in to this part of a yandere's route. Ever, if you value your life. Ever. Just do not pass go, do not collect $200. This is just bad news bears right there. So, we're gonna do this. I'm pretty confident in this answer. You can't have me.
Sister.
Don't give in to temptation, Gretel. I'll be going hungry, same as you. As much as I crave that sugar, I'll hold myself back. And no matter what delicious food you prepare for me, if you're not having any, then neither will I.
Sister.
I'll be whatever you want me to be. Yep, that's basically all yanderes want. A girlfriend, a friend, a sister. I'll promote myself to any piece on the chessboard. I'll craft your ideal version of me. And if you so desire, I'll give you all of me. You're my precious baby brother. Your family, Gretel, and I love you.
Right. I couldn't possibly feast on my own sister. That would be...
Just then, his hand started to shake and his breathing grew labored. Gretel? What's wrong? He hastily jumped out of bed and staggered to the kitchen. There he grabbed a certain jar I recognized all too well. I still got that, eh? That's...
This is the candy your brother made just for me. Supposedly eating it will cure my illness. You know that, right?
That's the true yandere smile, finally. The shadowy eyes and stuff. Okay, glad to see it. So... Okay, so our brother is... I still don't understand what hunters do. No idea. They're like a jack of all trades. But apparently in this universe, he deals with mental illnesses, that kind of thing. In which case, dude, isolation was not a good idea. Okay, so he prescribed that medicine for you. I think you may have become a little too dependent on that.
Apparently I'm not well. Weird, right? I mean, I feel so healthy.
He opened the lid, poured out a bunch of random colors, and popped them all into his mouth at once. You're supposed to take them one at a time, Gretel! But he ignored me and swallowed the whole rainbow.
I know it's too much, but eating them makes me feel secure.
Oh, Gretel.
Do you want some? It might help you feel better. Or would you like me to administer them myself, like I did that one time?
I quietly shook my head.
So you do remember. And here I was trying to help you forget. What a shame.
That's what you dosed me with? I looked at the jar.
Indeed. These sweet treats are magical and mysterious. If anyone other than me eats them, their memories get muddled. Weird, isn't it? Hello? Sister? I need you to laugh with me.
I let out a dry laugh. I had always faintly suspected him of drugging me, and now here he was, admitting it flat out. I didn't really know how to feel about it. I thought that was very well established before even that memory, but... well, at least she finally has come to terms with it, I guess. Well, not come to terms, but she's acknowledged it.
You're not angry with me.
Do you want me to be angry? He fell silent and averted his gaze. He's so sweet and naive. No, I'm not angry. I'm the one who pushed you to do this. Sometimes intentionally, other times inadvertently. It's not like you brought me here against my will. I came here of my own volition. So what's there to get angry about?
You always have to coddle me, don't you?
I can't help it. I love you.
That's what I'm talking about. You really know how to make me melt. Sister, I want you to depend on me. I want you to need me. Let me spoil you until you're utterly helpless without me.
Fine by me. You can lock me up or do whatever you want with me. Oh, God. This is not the way. This is not the way. This is not what I was going for at all. Oh, no, 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 no. I mean, he basically is trying to overturn the power dynamic, where he was relying on her for everything. Now he's trying to switch it up. That's probably the whole reason for the dress up as well. Alright, well, here we go. I'll love you no matter what. If the next CG is me in a cage, hands around my throat, I'm flipping this desk. The room was dark. With the curtains closed, I couldn't tell day from night. Not only that, but he had taped the edges to the wall so that not even a sliver of light could get through. In here it was darker than night, as if I was living in a world consumed by darkness.
Yeah, that should do it.
Gretel stood in the center of the darkened room. My eyes hadn't adjusted, so I couldn't see his expression, but his tone was rather upbeat.
Oh, and be sure to watch your step when you move around. Wouldn't want you to trip and hurt yourself. Although if you did, I'd just nurse you back to health.
Just moments ago, Gretel was crying, but evidently the candy had kicked in, and now he was back to his usual self, quotation marks. Was I meant to feel relieved? Or scared? I can no longer tell what the sane reaction was. I was too numb by this point. But now that I had my memories back, I had a clear understanding of Gretel's objective. As he stated earlier, he wanted to coddle me. He tied me up, cut the heat, and blocked out the light in order to remove my agency and shut out the outside world. That way I would be forced to rely on him to survive. Perhaps the best way to put it was, he wanted to keep me as a pet. Yep.
Sister.
He sat down beside me on the edge of the bed and stroked my hair. I moved to rest my head on his shoulder, but stopped myself. Gretel and I weren't lovers. We were only brother and sister, quotation marks. And I had nearly walked right into his trap.
Let me know if there is anything you want. We have it all. Milk, hot cocoa, not to mention sweet treats. Let's live like we're in a fairy tale. Just you and me.
Right. With my eyes closed, I couldn't see a thing. But my other senses were heightened, and I could feel him close to me. This happiness was phony. Warped. Twisted. But if it still counted as happiness, then maybe a little twist here and there couldn't hurt. And so we lived happily ever after. The end. You better not end it there. I will slap a fish. If only. Thank God. I thought back to Gretel's emotional outburst earlier. The way he consumed that candy was abnormal, to say the least. He was clearly exceeding the intended dose. This is why Ryoshi's like, you need to manage him, because he's going to lose it when he goes through withdrawal. He's just getting more and more dependent on it. Oh boy. His shaking and sweating were obviously symptoms of withdrawal. After continued consumption, he had built up a tolerance to it. Thus he needed to eat more and more to achieve the same effect, and now he had lost control. A familiar story. Gretel's dependence on the sugar had driven him into sweet madness. Hey, Gretel? I fixed him with a probing look. My eyes had finally adjusted to the darkness, and now I could see not just the outline of his face, but his expression as well.
What is it? Do you need something?
I want a sweet treat.
You do?
He seemed a bit taken aback. No surprise there, of course. After all, he had only just revealed to me that his treats would muddle my memories.
Okay, then. Any requests?
Gretel rose to his feet and headed for the kitchen. As I watched him go, I answered with, I'll eat anything you make. It was something of a stock reply at this point. In the darkness, Gretel set about making me a sweet treat, per my request. But of course he needed light to see what he was doing, so he had lit an alcohol burner. Meanwhile, I watched his every move. That way he couldn't lace the food without me knowing. But at no point did this seemingly occur. Granted, my view of his hands was limited, and soon the dessert was ready.
Here you are.
He offered it to me, and I let him put it in my mouth. I chewed slowly, savoring it, then finally swallowed. Yummy. As far as I could tell, it was a sweet treat and nothing more. In fact, I was starting to question whether he'd added anything at all.
I told you my treats have the power to muddle your memories, right?
Yep.
Aren't you scared?
Nope. His lips twisted in a defeated smile.
You really drive me crazy sometimes.
At this, I knew my suspicions were correct. He hadn't laced my food with anything at all. It was just a dessert. While my memories were indeed hazy in the beginning, that effect had faded over the past few days. His candy was by no means endless. It would run out eventually. Factoring in the amount he used on me, he was going to burn through it very soon. The jar was already at just 1/3 of its capacity. He probably wanted to conserve as much as possible in order to keep himself stable, so he reduced my allotment to 0. Sugar-free! 0 calories! I could eat as much as I wanted and I'd never go mad. The thing is, Gretel, I'll love you no matter who you are.
Even if I'm a villain?
Yep.
Or a nutcase?
I'll still love you. I answered without a single second of hesitation.
You didn't even stop to think about it either. Maybe you're the nutcase.
I smiled in spite of myself. You're just so incredible. You care about me, and you always do your best to look out for me. I couldn't be prouder to call you my brother.
Sister.
But you shouldn't eat too much candy. Right now, you're in danger of overdosing. You could die, Gretel.
I know, but I can't just go cold turkey.
Then ease up off them a little at a time. I knew putting him through candy withdrawal would only make him suffer more. But if he reduced his intake, little by little, perhaps his body could adapt. Truth be told, he was better off consulting Ryoshi about this stuff, but that wasn't feasible right now. We had sacrificed a lot to come this far. We weren't abandoned by our family. We abandoned them. Ooh, got a green border. I guess this is from Gretel's POV. Yep, I was wondering when we were going to get one of these.
My beloved sister lay asleep beside me. She was all snuggled up against me, possibly due to the cold. I prodded her cheek. She squirmed and let out a tiny groan. I poked her again, and she pulled the covers up over her head. I couldn't stop myself from laughing. I dearly loved getting a reaction out of her. The more I teased her, the more reactions I'd get, and it made me want to tease her even more. I cupped her cheek in my hand and found her skin colder than I was expecting. Strange, since every part pressed against me was practically on fire. Or was it me that was burning up? I wrapped my arms around her in an embrace. Her slow, rhythmic breaths tickled my neck, and I could feel her chest pressed up against mine. I let out a long sigh. I wanted to touch her perfect porcelain skin. I wanted to bury my face in her slender neck and kiss her red lips. This was a trap. I could crush her beneath my feral instincts, but then I'd lose the very thing that mattered to me most. And that was what scared me more than anything else. Dumbass, I whispered in her ear. As I pulled away from her, I was suddenly gripped with frustration and anxiety, so I jumped out of bed and ate some candy out of the jar. I could hear my sister's voice in my head telling me not to eat them, but I choked down that phantom with the rest of the sugar. My flat, emotionless laugh echoed through the quiet room. Then I fell to my hands and knees. Sister, sister, sister. You're my only family. We may not be related by blood, but you're still my sister. And I can't consume you. With her delectable body, she was practically begging me to do it.
Oh boy.
But the instant I did, I would lose my sister. What a wicked witch she was. I could never rebel against her. If I tied her up, blinded her eyes, and gagged her mouth, if I took everything from her, would I finally be free? Could I keep her as my sister? I looked at the jar next to me. Soon it would be empty. How many days did I have left? I knew full well that this happiness would never last. Right now I could control myself with candy, but what would happen to me once it ran out? Maybe I would stop thinking rationally. Maybe I would turn into a demon and devour my sister. I needed to get more candy somehow, and I knew where to find it. But if Ryoshi caught me, he would take me away from my sister again. Sure, I could go without seeing her for a while if I had to, but in the worst-case scenario, he might kill me. Either way, I didn't have a choice. I had to do it.
Mr. Wizard?
Why, hello there! Good day to you! Or is it night?
He appeared practically out of thin air. I glared at him. Here in this dark void, he was only a shadow. This was the witch's familiar, the black cat who had led us here. What do you want?
Oh, good grief. Relax, will you? I mean you no harm.
I didn't know what he was planning, so I needed to keep my guard up around him.
I'm not planning anything. The wizard is merely a pawn, simultaneously the most handy as well as the most useless.
Does he mean, like, his name of the wizard, or... That was an interesting line. Or is it the cat that's talking right now? It's hard to say.
I merely played my part as the witch's familiar, leading the two of you home. So, how's your quarantine with your beloved big sister going, now that the honeymoon period is over? Are you enjoying the rest of the fairy tale?
Oh, yes. We're having a gay old time in here.
Glad to hear it. I did try to make sure you'd both have all the food and clothing you'd need, after all. And I granted your other wish, too.
Not sure I remember that. I averted my eyes.
Sure you do. Remember what you asked of me? While I'm away, I want you to turn up at the house and tempt her.
Ah, okay. Well, it worked. I was tempted.
That sounds nothing like me. Knock it off.
So, at your request, I revealed myself to her. You know, for someone who claims to love her, you sure don't trust her, do you? You're scared. What if sister abandons me? What if she doesn't need me? So you tested her. You bullied her, pranked her, lied to her. But she didn't leave. I knew I could count on my sister. She's my hero.
I'm getting sick and tired of your stupid riddles. What do you want? Spit it out already! Unable to suppress my irritation, I snapped at him.
Imagine how disgusted your sister would be if she knew the real you. Gretel, were you always this ugly deep down?
Enough!
You act like such a perfect student, but on the inside you're a monster, not to mention a junkie. A violent, unstable problem child, as a hunter would say.
The next thing I knew, I was swinging my fist.
Whoa there!
But he dodged easily. I should have known the pitch darkness would hinder me.
Come now, don't fly off the handle at me. Besides, you might wake your precious elder sister,
I glanced over at her. She hadn't moved an inch. The sight filled me with relief. I let out a long breath and stared into the abyss. I'm too busy to play any more of your little games. Run along home, please.
Because you're worried about running out of candy. Oh, Gretel, you poor unloved child. You just wanted something of your own. You wanted to have a fairy tale life with your sister, to protect those gleaming jewel eyes from would-be thieves. My sister is perfect. My sister is beautiful, smart, and competent. She's my role model. I believed in our blood ties. But you were mistaken. When you learned the truth, did you mourn? Or did you Shut up! Gretel, if you want me to, I can give you the candy.
As he spoke, he produced a full jar of candy seemingly out of nowhere. That's my candy!
But it will come at a price. Give and take, my friend. If you want the goods, you gotta pay.
It felt pointless to ask him how he knew about the candy or where he'd gotten his paws on it. After all, there were bigger questions on the table, such as, why no one had managed to find us. More than a week had passed since we first arrived here. What was everyone else doing? Surely they would have come looking for us by now. And we weren't that well hidden. And yet our only visitor thus far was the wizard. I didn't know what he was planning. What was his goal in letting us take shelter in here? What magic was keeping the rest of the world at bay? Frankly, none of it mattered. Yeah, that's right. I knew he was manipulating me, and I was manipulating him right back. What do you want?
I want those gleaming jewels.
My eyes?
If you will give up what you love most, then I will give you your sweet treat.